Ladies and gents, let me welcome you to the Candid Savage podcast, hosted by myself, Ashley Mitzier, where we cover everything health, fitness, lifestyle, and entrepreneurship-related stuff. And again, let me thank you by, thanking you for downloading and listening to this podcast. I'll shut up. Let's get shit done. To have something that's pretty awesome waiting in the wings here. We have Dai Manuel, who is a dad. He's also dating his wife. He's an author, entrepreneur, lifestyle mentor, business coach, and a keynote speaker who's currently sitting in British Columbia, Canada, and I'm sitting in Ottawa, and it's early, and we're drinking coffee, so we sound like we just woke up. What's up, Dai?
Hello, Ashley. Yes, I've got the definitely the early morning voice happening. This is not normally my podcast voice, but I'll take it. It's all good.
And we were supposed to do this earlier too, and then we didn't. Mm-hmm. I think it was supposed to be 9 my time. Would have been like
6 my time.
Oh yeah. God.
I get up at 5, so that's not usually the issue. But it's a Sunday morning, and I slept in a little bit this morning. A little bit groggy.
I love how you're sleeping in is like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So for you guys that don't know Dai and his wife Christy do these morning workouts on their Whole Life Manifesto and his page where they get up at ungodly hours and do these burpees that he made me do one time. And these kick-ass workouts for their tribe.
Hey, it's all fun, right? It just gets you moving. And
it is fun until you want to throw up in a bucket because Dai made you do a gazillion burpees.
Oh, you know what? It's conditioning for life, right?
I was conditioned for a week, let me tell you.
There's no better movements to prepare you for life, though, than the burpee.
It's true.
You get knocked down, what do? You get back up and you just keep moving, right? So it's all the burpee's doing, conditioning you for life.
That is a true story. That is a true story. So I guess I should tell people the topic of this podcast.
Yeah, what are we talking about today?
We're going to be living life with a purpose.
Oh, I like that one.
So for some of you that have no idea who I am and just saw the really cool podcast logo, I'm someone who quit my corporate job. I was with federal Canadian government for over 6.5 years and decided enough was enough. Quit my job, went on a road trip. Came back, lost everything, moved back to my parents' basement, and then rebuilt my life. 6.5 years later, I am where I am. But Dai has an awesome story as well, and he chooses to live life with a purpose, as well as his family. So that's what we're going to talk about.
Oh man,
It's deep.
I want to listen to this podcast.
Yeah. So I guess I just give people a little bit of background of Dai Manuel.
Well, you know what? It's interesting because we both became connected to one another, got to know each other.
In a little room
through CanFit Pro, like a fairly large organization in Canada in the fitness industry. Yeah, and we're both fit pros, right? Like we've been in this industry for a while, and I love it. You know, I truly feel that the fitness industry is one of the most rewarding industries, but also just the wellness industry as a whole. And so I've been involved in that industry for over 20 years now in lots of different capacities, but I didn't naturally come to fitness. You know, my backstory, if you will, started when I was in my teen years, especially my early teen years. I was classified as morbidly obese. So BMI of over 40, which is significant, you know, and I was my largest at age 14. And it's obviously, you know, 14-year-old males, they have a certain hormone thing that happens and somewhere around that time. And, you know, that coupled with me really assessing my life at that time, which was very short, you know, like I like to think it was a sort of a mini Jerry Maguire moment. And where I really just decided, and it's probably more apropos to say more of an Anthony Robbins moment, because I looked in the mirror, I broke down one day and I had lots of depressive thoughts that were more leaning closer towards the side of suicide and just not enjoying my life. Like I cried myself to sleep a lot of nights. And anyways, at age 15, I made some changes. I literally started to move my body every day and every way, quite frankly. Like it was just something that became the norm. And I started to educate myself on nutrition as well. And this is pre-Google for those that are listening, especially you millennials. I used to have to go to a library, and
you have Siri.
I joked with my kids once saying, yeah, I remember going to the library and looking at a microfiche, and they were like, what's a microfiche? And then I had to Google it, and then when I showed them, they're like, what is that? Like that's how you found out newspaper clippings, like this is how you did some research. Anyway, so it really made me feel extremely old. But after about 20 months, I lost the weight. I also sort of kickstarted my growth as a prepubescent male, and then getting into moving my body. It stimulated, increases testosterone, human growth hormone. Hormones start to act the way they're meant to be to be acting, and that helped me over a 20-month period to gain some muscle, lose some fat, grow about 10 inches, and on top of that, just got me really excited about helping people. It's amazing when people go through a transformation, other people that know them or know of them, they see those transformations happen. Some people are inspired. Some people are very inquisitive, right? They want to know, what did you do? How did you do that?
Yeah, we see that a lot in the clubs.
Yeah, well, and it's also the nature of your conversations that you're having with people on your podcast, right?
Yeah.
Like we hear these types of, for those that are in Canada, it's TSN turning points. For those in the US, we'll call it an ESPN turning point. Okay, so and you know what I mean? It's those moments where a game could go either way, but it's a deciding moment for usually the underdogs, especially. Those are the ones that we remember the most, right? It's the underdog, they're down, there's only a few minutes left, and what happens? Some miraculous play transpires, and it changes the entire outcome of the game, right?
Yeah.
And I think we all have these short, very brief moments in our own lives where we come to these milestones, and it's very easy that we could have gone left rather than going right. And we have to wonder, like, what was it that guided me to make that decision? Ultimately, which brought me to where I am today. And I often think back on that. And I'm like, man, what if I just decided not to exercise? What if I just accepted my state of unhealth and didn't do anything? Right? Like,
yeah, I think the same thing. Like, what if I was still at my job 6.5 years ago? Like, what would I be doing, and what would my mental state be in?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
right.
Horrible. It would be horrible.
Right.
But it's hard to make the change. I mean, a lot of people want to make a change. They realize they need to make a change, but it's taking that step forward to make the change, or even sometimes taking 3 steps back to go 10 ahead.
Yeah.
Like I did. Like, I lost my pension on purpose. I lost benefits, like everything. And people are like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm I don't know. I will figure it out. And I did. And I mean, dating at 27 while you live in your parents' basement is not the coolest thing in the world to do.
Well, fair enough.
But you know what? I took the chance. You took a risk.
Yeah, you know what? It was an interesting time, and I did. I mean, I think it was back then. I wasn't thinking risk. I was thinking, man, I'd really like a girlfriend. Like, to be perfectly honest, people ask me, what was some of the motivations? I'm like, I was 14 years old and I was lonely. I wanted a girlfriend.
Cuddle buddy.
Well, it was just, but I'm a typical teen boy. Like, that wasn't one of the motivations. But when I really boil it down to it, was also the fact that I was sick and tired of looking at the guy in the mirror and wondering, who is this guy and why is he, the way he is. And when you start to realize that you can make change, you can make a positive change in your own life, you just have to actually make a decision, and then you have to apply energy, take action. And then you have to do that often, right? And that's all I did. So fast forward, I eventually left Ontario once I graduated high school, and I wanted to reinvent myself. So I moved to the West Coast. I moved to Vancouver, went to university here, started in the sciences, didn't enjoy the sciences. I found out after a year, but I wanted to be a veterinarian. That's what I was thinking, because my father was a vet and had a practice, and I was, it's nepotism, right? And I'm like, I'll just work in the family practice. But when you start to realize that we make some of our decisions based on what we think others want us to do versus what do we want to do. And I realized I love animals. I just don't love animals, enough to dedicate my life to them. Yeah. And so I made a change, and I ended up taking a year off, and then I went back to school. But during that time, I was doing stuff in the fitness industry because it's what I was passionate about.
Yeah.
I was doing spin classes. I was teaching martial arts, You know, I was also doing a lot of rock climbing. I would work at the rock climbing gym as well, and all these individual type sports, right? Because that's what I did. I didn't do team sports. I only did individual stuff. And yeah, so it was crazy. It was a bit of a transition period. Like, I mean, how did you come to fitness?
Well, for me, my story was fitness, sports, because I was bullied in high school, and there was a family member that lived in my house for a period of time, a long time, too long in my opinion. So I was emotionally and physically abused by this individual. So playing sports got me out of the house, and it got me out of school early. So if it got me out of school early, I didn't have to deal with people when I left. Yeah. And if I didn't have to go home, it was perfect. So I literally played every sport in the book, even badminton. And I laughed about that one every time because it was the only sport available at the time. I'm like, Dad, I need a badminton racket. He's like, no way. I'm on the badminton team. Like, just ridiculous. And then, so I ended up being, not to be cocky, but a really good athlete. So I ended up going to play for Algonquin College. I was their starting goalkeeper. And so I was busy working and playing soccer 5 days a week, traveling with the team, playing different colleges in the province. And then went and worked for, I'll say, the Canadian federal government in quotation.
Yeah.
And I got into martial arts because of a buddy of mine, Stefan Roy, who I'm hoping is listening to this. And he's like, come into my dojo and I'll teach you how to kickbox.
Nice.
And I'm like, what? And I turned him down probably about 4 times. So eventually I showed up, no idea what the hell I'm doing. I know how to bar fight. I don't know how to kickbox. So I ended up falling in love with kickboxing, and it's thanks to Stefan and actually Alain Moussia as well, who's in my corner when I started competing. And so that got the ball rolling, and I played ball hockey by accident. They needed a sub. It was a competitive league, and I'm like, I know how to play with skates on. I ended up falling in love with that, and then ended up doing well with the ball hockey. And actually, it was 2008. I think I was in Vancouver actually for nationals, which I didn't even know nationals existed for ball hockey. It's a thing. And then, so sports I always say, has literally saved my life and my mental health for me. And that's what got me. So when I left my career, I knew that I wanted to help people. I just didn't know what capacity. And then I was already certified as a trainer. I was already coaching people when I wasn't at work. I was like, why the hell am I not doing this full time?
That's great.
And then that's when the snowball effect happened.
Yeah.
And then, I just went from there, and I don't live life with boundaries. I don't live life based on living life by the social norm. I don't do that. Yeah. And my mom thinks I'm crazy, but she loves me, so it's fun.
It's a beautiful thing about unconditional love. It's unconditional. You know?
But, I know you had I'll call it a job.
Yeah, I definitely, I fell into the equipment industry. You know, as a trainer, I think, and a lot of us that work in the wellness industries, period, it's very service orientated, right? And so even, as a personal trainer, you are exchanging hours for dollars. Which there's nothing wrong with that, especially because I was passionate about that. But as you start having kids and start having different aspirations in life, you start to realize the limited scalability of a personal training business when you're a solo entrepreneur, right? Yeah. It really is challenging because...
Especially summertime.
Well, summertime, but also just the way the hours work, right? Like you would work for a few more morning hours, then you might have a break, and then you do a nooner. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you work the evening because you have to work when your clients can train, right? Yeah. And so I would find very often, I'd be like, man, it was a 14, 15-hour day, but I only billed for 6 hours. And I'm like, geez, this is not efficient. Yeah. Like what? This is painful, like long term. And so I went to buy a heavy bag for myself for a place that I was living at. And I went into this store and I started having a conversation with the manager there, which I didn't know she was the manager of the store at the time. We got along really well. And she said, have you ever thought about selling fitness equipment? I'm like, well, actually, no, never have. I didn't ever think about this. And next thing you know, I started there part-time while I was still going to school. And I fell in love with it. I love sales. I love just helping people, right? Yeah. And that's all sales is. It's literally helping people figure out a solution to a problem, or a concern or an objection that they're trying to deal with in their lives. So it became very, very fun for me. And the neat thing with sales, especially if you're in a commission environment, well, there's no ceiling. You know, you work a set amount of hours, and the more people you help with dealing with their problems, the more money you actually earn. And I'm like, whoa, mind blown. I'm like, this is great. You mean even on my days off, if a customer comes back and buys something, I'm still making money? Yes. I'm like, hello, sign me up. And very quickly, you know, after about a year, I got promoted into a management role in one of the other stores, and I just had a knack for it, and I loved it. I just loved it. And it's business too. I know you love business, you know, like it's fun, right? Like it's, if you enjoy entrepreneurship or running businesses and helping people, well, you know, sales and retail, quite frankly, is a great place to go.
It's a no-brainer.
Well, it's still the largest employer, right, in Canada is actually the retail. The retail sector is the largest employer of any number of individuals in Canada. And so it was fun to participate in that. And, you know, fast forward over a number of years, I had an opportunity to, we split off from the national chain and went off as independents. And I had an opportunity to be a partner, a junior partner in that new company called Fitness Town. And we grew it to, it's one of the largest fitness equipment retailers in Canada, as well as wholesalers and distributors of products, e-com, coast to coast. And, you know, after 17 years of doing that, I just realized that my heart wasn't in it anymore. I was at age 37 and I had an epiphany. And this was my real Jerry Maguire moment. Like it's like legit. I was like burnt out. It was around January. You know how it goes in the fitness industry. So all those that are on the fitness industry, listening to this podcast, you know this. It's like if we were farmers, our hay season is typically December through February. You know, that is when your marketing is, when you're advertising, your busy time. You're basically promoting and selling. Like it is, because we see it in January. It's like crazy time, right, at the gyms, and then February it's very different, which is unfortunate. All the cliches, they're based in the truth. It's
every
crazy.
Year.
It's like, crazy.
Every year I look at the gyms and I'm like, this is the year that people are not going to have these ridiculous resolutions. Yeah. And it happens.
Yeah. Well, and it's crazy, right? Like, and it's also largely why, you know, we started doing what we did a number of years ago. So while I was still working at Fitness Town, I was introduced because I was the chief operating officer. So I did a lot of the sourcing of products, anything was operation focused, but also sales management. That's what I did. Right. And, but we used to subcontract out all the marketing. So we would hire marketing firms to help us with the advertising on it. But we would spend a lot of money on traditional marketing back then, you know, like the newspapers, radio, TV, like print, especially just print in general. Big bills. Spent a lot of money. Yeah. And it's very costly. Right. And as this thing called the internet was growing, we were like, what is going on here? Because it was clear, diminishing returns on the spend. And you could throw money at it. We thought maybe we just weren't spending enough. We weren't making enough impact and not frequency. And then you realize that wasn't the problem. The problem is that there's a new media that is now the norm. And so in 2007, I actually read Gary Vaynerchuk's Crush It. Yes. I know, right? Yes. And after reading his book on a plane ride in January to go visit my family in Ontario, I wrote a personal manifesto. Literally like a 14-page document of stuff. Well, this happened a few years later, but Crush It was literally the catalyst that opened my eyes to this whole thing called the internet. And more importantly, like social media. Yeah. And then I just dove in. You know, this is 11 years ago, and I started my own personal blog. I started getting on social media channels, started just curating great content, creating great content, serving people, and building relationships. That's all I did. You know, that's what the focus was. So everything, I was doing it for Fitness Town, but I also started it for my own personal brand. Mm-hmm. A few years later, my personal brand outgrew the Fitness Town brand. Like, because what I was speaking about wasn't a corporate voice, right? Yeah. Corporate voices will always have limited scalability, with the exception of some of the big, massive companies like, Apple, Amazon. That's a different genre, right? But when you look at the small to the mid-sized retailers, especially if it's brick and mortar based, they're limited in growth potential, right? They really are, because you only have a certain size trade audience. So all of a sudden you start putting something out there like your podcast. It's a global audience, right? Mm-hmm. The scalability is remarkable. Like, it blows my mind. And I just started having fun online, right? And creating relationships.
I'm going to cut you off. If you guys don't know or don't follow, Dai, look him up on Twitter, Insta, Facebook, all the social medias, and see what he does. So his content is actually pretty remarkable. So follow his stuff if you're not. And he puts out a lot of really good content. I'm just saying.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, well, there we go. Well, and this is also the cool part of having a very unique name, right? Like Dai Manuel. As long as you spell it right, you'll find me. Like I own my pages on Google. Like it's Dai Manuel, Manuel, and just type that in, and you'll see. I've been making content for a while, and so I really got into this thing. This I don't even know what we would call it back then, but it was really just connecting with people, helping them where they're at, and trying to really facilitate or inspire or educate lifestyle transformations for people. That's really what it distilled down to. Mm-hmm. And then we started doing a bunch of other stuff. Like I started doing free Sunday morning because I had this passion to train people still. I got into CrossFit in 2007 as well. So at the same time, I was getting back into group fitness through CrossFit. I was re-engaging with all my personal training certifications, my CrossFit certifications, because I just loved it. Even though I wasn't looking at it as a career or making money from it. It was just simply a passion. So I was like, oh, I'll go do these courses because I just want to keep learning. Yeah. And started running free challenges on Sunday mornings here in Vancouver. We'll just say, show up, man. Just come down on Sundays. Come for a Sunday Fun Day session. We'll work out as a group. We'll just... No hidden agenda here. And we would host in our stores. And eventually it got to a point where we were having 70 to 90 people on Sunday mornings showing up to do a free fitness session, right? Like, and it was group and it was body weight based. It was really just educating people on how to move their bodies with purpose so they can get long-term sustainable lifestyle results. And people came in for the fitness, but they stayed because of the community. And it was fun, right? We had teenagers up to 70-year-olds. Like it was crazy. Wow. We had this full spectrum. And it taught me a lot. And then from that, we started launching online challenges. And then I wrote a book. And next thing you know, here we are. Like a couple of years ago, I quit my 17-year career to really pursue what my family and I are doing now, which is enhancing lives globally.
I remember when you told me that you like officially quit.
Yeah.
You guys still had your condo in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I quit. I'm going to do this full time. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And it's funny because I did that. I quit my job to go do what I want to do. And then I thought you were crazy. I'm like,
people still think I'm nuts, but now I think it's becoming more accepted because it's been 2 years that we've been doing this consistently. And, but I just had to, I mean, how many times actually do we find ourselves at that crossroads, like I was talking about earlier, where we could either go left or go right. And it was one of those things that if all of a sudden 10, 20 years down the road, I looked back and said, you know what, I think we could have done things a little bit differently. And I think, we could have been destined to do something really fantastic, and there was always that potential. And when you start to go through that introspection and you start asking yourself, well, okay, this is scary, but does it get me excited in a good way? Like, is it more fear and fear of pushing against me to do it? Or is it fear that if I don't do it, I'm going to be regretting it? Because there's two styles of fears, right? There's that fear of regret. And that was the one that motivated me. I was like, I don't want to look back and say, man, I really wish we did this, Christy, because we have a passion to travel. My kids are getting older. They're 12 and 14 now, and they're girls. Like I've got a short window left before they just really don't care about what I do or say. Yeah. So I wanted to take advantage of that. I didn't want to miss out on any more life. Yeah. And also I saw the path of being the CEO of the company and where that would take me. And I didn't want that. It didn't excite me. Yeah.
And I believe too, like a lot of people don't believe in themselves. They don't think that they can do something awesome. They're just like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't be this person, or I can't get to their level. And they don't.
4-letter C word. It is so bad, And you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about can't. And my British friends call it something very different when I say that. But but seriously, it's something. Let's get to that point, and we're just fearful of change, fearful of the risk, and I'm all about just take the risk. Like, what is the worst thing that can happen? Yeah, and that's what we talked about. We're like, well, you know what? I'm very employable. I've got a very unique skill set. I've got some great experience. Yeah. So why don't we just do this thing? And when you downsize your lifestyle, and I think this is the biggest thing that limits a lot of people to doing, especially like what we're doing, Ashley. Like we're embracing this digital landscape and this ability to literally, you can create an income from nothing. Like that is the thing that blows my mind. I'm like,
the internet is an awesome pool of, awesome if you can get into it.
Yeah, like I work with a lot of entrepreneurs now, and I help them develop and literally monetize their expertise, their specialization, like what they're known for, what they're passionate about. And I got this trainer, and she went from doing all these hours in person, and then we just learned a new way of doing what she does, but doing it online, and it very specialized, going deep with only a few rather than trying to serve a lot. And she was able to make more literally in 4 months than she had made in the previous 2 years.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you've got a much larger market, right? And I love this because she's got a young daughter at home and she wants to spend more time with her.
Yeah.
And so now she's actually at the point where 6 months from now, she'll be fully digital, won't be doing in-person training sessions anymore.
That's awesome.
So she has time with her family. And this is happening all over. Like people just have to look at this. Like there's careers that are being invented like now, we'll wake up tomorrow morning, there'll be another like 10 different potential areas that people can work in that my kids could have a career in. And there's careers right now that aren't even around yet. By the time my kids are at that point in their life, like
I think one of the biggest things too with fitness professionals, because you know a lot and I know a lot, is it's too hard, or they have to learn something new and they're like, oh, and there's a lot of time and effort. A lot of the fitness professionals, I'm going to pick on them specifically. Like, it's funny because you look at the shape of them physically and you're like, wow, you guys are dedicated. Yeah. And then you tell them to learn something new, or, you can make money doing this, or like put a digital, oh, that's so much work. I have to learn something new, and they don't do it. And I'm like.
And the funny thing is you can bootstrap this stuff. You don't have to spend any money, and you just got to learn a couple basic skills, and you can literally be up and running within hours and start serving people. Like, then I think that's the main issue, right? They look at it, and a lot of fitness professionals I work with, they got a really hard time with selling. They don't like to promote themselves. They don't like to sell themselves or their services. I'm like, okay, well, beans on toast, like if you like dry toast, no problem. But if you want some beans on your toast, you better learn to have conversations and to create significant shifts and impact in people's lives. They're like, well, that's what I want to do. And I'm like, well, that's what you're doing. But you're helping people identify what path makes the most sense for them to take right now, and how you can facilitate that transformation or help them deal with that pain or that problem. There's a great book by Donald Miller, and it's Story Brand, and fantastic. But he talks about this idea that we're actually, you and I, we are Yoda in our storylines. Okay, like when I say that, we're people that act as mentors or coaches, or anybody that's really in the wellness industry, especially. Like, these are people that take on a mentor or a guide role in a lot of people's lives, right? Like we meet people all the time. They come in to our story for a second, but really it's us into their story. And he talks about everybody's a hero, like every one of our clients is like Luke Skywalker, right? and here we are as Yoda or Obi-Wan Kenobi, and we meet them for a moment and we help them overcome some external pressure or an internal pressure, maybe a metaphysical pressure. And then what happens? Well, they move beyond that, and either they overcome whatever the issues were, or they succumb to them. I mean, it's one or the other, and we play a small role in that storyline, And I think as trainers, fitness professionals, you have to accept the responsibility that you have a moral obligation to help as many people as you can. With the knowledge that you know and the wisdom that you know. You're not doing anybody any service by not telling them and helping them. Because look at the world. A lot of people need what we have. They need our expertise. They need our guidance. They need us to teach them how to use the force. Like we do. Well, but it's all more than that, right? It's literally helping people shift their mind and helping them believe in themselves again, so they feel confident in every endeavor that they attack. Because we know that fitness is a great facilitator. Look, it impacted you, Ashley. Sport, the power of sport literally changed your life. And if you think about it, if you weren't on all those sports teams, if you weren't committed to that path, where would your life be now?
Yeah, exactly. Probably behind a desk, not liking life. But that's what you just said is something that I talk about with when I teach the personal training courses through CanFit. And I put in a module that's not even part of the curriculum, and it's pretty much exactly what you just said. Like yes, your title is personal trainer, but the subtitles of that is you're also a therapist. Like you are everything. And and it's understanding that, because a lot of people get into the industry just thinking they can, do circuits or help people build muscle. But you and I both know it's more than just the physical aspect of it. Yeah. There's a lot of mental, spiritual, a lot of everything intertwined.
Yeah, you're bang on. And it's why Christy and I also have upped our education over the last couple of years since we've been on this new endeavor, because I want to learn more skills, have other blueprints for other models and understanding, because everybody's different. Everybody needs to be met where they're at. But the more tools that we have, more experience that we have and knowledge that we have, it allows us to gives us a better opportunity to help people the right way the first time, And so, like when I look at fitness in the industry, I believe that, you need a foundation in nutrition, you need a foundation in fitness, but most importantly, I think you need a foundation in life, and I really look at the life coaching, and just that level of coaching is a whole nother layer and gives a more holistic outlook for the personal trainer. Like I really think there's that. And so that's what we've done. We've got our life coaching certification, our nutrition coaching certification, and then on top of that, our personal training certification. And with those 3 different models, we're able to best serve our clients, and it's been a lot of fun because it's a more holistic approach to well-being. And
speaking of holistic, you guys you have been on a journey, because I was super jealous because you guys went for 3 months to Bali, and I was so jealous. But Chrissy also quit her job.
She quit.
And so you guys up and move. So you guys also homeschool your kids as well?
Yeah, I like to say we world school them. But yeah, well, it's been more road schooling probably. That's probably the most apropos. But I quit my career. A month later, Christy quit hers. Over the next 3 months, we worked on finishing my book. So it was published in January. It'll be 2 years ago, January.
Where can people get that book?
They can get it at Chapters Indigo in Canada. They can get it on Amazon wherever globally, but they can also get it in the US out of Barnes & Noble. So it's all over, and the Whole Life Fitness Manifesto. And be sure to join the free community online. Join WLFM.com.
Looking on this podcast.
Yeah. But it was interesting, because then we also decided that while we're going on the road, we've got this new lifestyle that we want to do. We want to literally just go and see the world. So we pulled the kids out of school then a couple months, and we gave away everything, like literally everything. We kept one little storage unit because there's certain items that can't be bought, like their mementos and kid stuff and whatever. And a lot of my fitness gear. And so that's in a storage unit. And then whatever we couldn't fit in the SUV, we gave away and packed up the SUV. And then we just took off. We started our North American tour for a while. And then we went and lived in Bali for 3 months. And, and that was a test just to really make sure that we could be in a different hemisphere, a different time zone than the bulk of our clientele, and see if we could continue to do what we did. And because you see a lot of it, this digital nomadic movement, people literally, you have an internet connection, you can work anywhere.
Yeah.
And so we embraced that, and we tested it, and yes, you can do that. and so we're moving back to Bali for 2018. We've leased a place. We're going to go back and hang our hat there, and or at least make it a home base. Yeah. Well, it's going to be a home base. We'll still be traveling a lot, and I travel and speak a lot. So I'll still be trotting around a little bit, but it will be our home base.
When Dai says they literally pack up a car and go, that's exactly what they do. They pack their SUV and they drive. Like, it's not a figure of speech type thing.
No, it's legit.
So follow him on his social. You'll actually see the SUV being packed up.
Oh my gosh. Sometimes too much stuff. Yeah. Yeah. We got 2 Thules too. So, we really load that sucker up now, but, it's been a hell of a journey, and, I still feel like we're just getting started. I've learned more in the last 2 years than I think I'd learned in the previous 10. And that's just based on when you really thrust yourself into this kind of a situation. It is, it's not really sink or swim, but you can choose just to float if you want, or you can choose to, swim some laps. And we've just said, okay, we're going to swim a lot of laps.
I've swam a lot of laps last time.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun, and we don't have any regrets. We're extremely happy and grateful. And, but again, we were also still figuring out that landscape. It's a whole new space for us. So I'm learning as we go, and it's been fun.
That's life, right? Just learn every day.
It's all good. I'm good with that,
That's awesome. Well, I guess, yeah, we talked about it a little bit. So I met Dai at CanFit Pro, and it was like a pro trainer thing.
Yeah.
And you were speaking, and I know I had asked some questions, and we were talking about this before we started recording, is I would ask Dai questions, and then he was very polite enough to give me his email. And so I would ask him questions, and I remember the first one was about writing a book. Mm-hmm. And you gave me some awesome tools, and shortly after that, he told me that I'm not an asshole. So not asshole, ask-hole. And that has stuck with me actually for a very long time, because a lot of people ask for information, but then do nothing with it. And so Dai, I want to Dai on this podcast because he's awesome. But Dai has actually been one of the people that has helped me kind of transition to more of the internet world and doing other stuff. So I'm going to put it out in the universe right now and on the podcast and saying thank you, because you were one of the ones that helped me with my book.
Well, thank you.
And also your info that you put out has been beneficial for me. So,
well, I appreciate that. You know, it's been a hell of a journey. And it's been amazing watching you too, as well, just because you tear it up, you know, like you're just so passionate about what you do, and it's truly inspiring to watch. And I know you're just getting started down this new journey that you're literally trailblazing, quite frankly. So it's inspiring to watch, and I'm excited for this podcast to drop and really just continue to watch your journey, and just realize that Bali is a great place to record podcasts from. Just putting it out there. I was interviewing a couple while I was there, and you know, it's a great place for that. So
everyone has heard that. It's open invite to
you know it. Like, it's honestly, like, that's why we call ourselves Life Enhancer. Like, we already have people blocking out weeks that they're coming to visit us, because we have a separate bungalow with a bed and bathroom and all that stuff. And so we're putting it out there. You know, if you guys are in Bali, look us up, man. Look us up. We're all about connecting with cool people. And I told you this before, Ashley. Remember, Christy and I have this sort of this rule internally. We work with people and hang out with people that we envision ourselves being on the beaches of the world with. You know, like growing old, sitting on a beach, like chilling out, having good conversations, like Bali, yeah. But these are the types of people we want to surround ourselves with. People that have a positive outlook on life, positive mental attitude, and just really are looking to change life. You know, when I say change it, like, if there's something that you don't like, do something about it. Yeah. Right? Like, it's amazing how many people just feel handcuffed, you know, metaphorically feel handcuffed to the life and the path that they're on. And I'm like, you can change things at any time, you know? Yeah. But a lot of us wait for those moments that are like,
the epiphany.
Well, yeah, and sometimes they're negative epiphany. Like, we know this in the fitness industry. Like, oh gosh, doctors, right? Like, I would see people come in to buy equipment, or people reach out to me now to work with them, and their doctor said, if you don't do something now, 6 months from now, we're having a very different conversation. Yeah. It's probably you in the hospital on a bed being resuscitated. Like, it's significant. But then you see these people become highly motivated, right? Yeah. Because there's fear of death and the finality.
It's called the fear factor.
But why do we have to get to that point, right? Like, it's crazy. And I think we just get so used to day to day, right? It's like why people, you know, I have this December challenge that we run called the Net Zero Gain Challenge, right? And what the premise is just December 1st, you weigh yourself, then you throw the scale away, and then December 31st, you weigh yourself again. And the goal is to weigh the same. Because if you can make it through December and weigh the exact same as you did at the beginning of the month, you've already won. Yeah. But that's enough, you know, for some people to accept. But because we put all these these ideas in our head that we have to lose all this
pressure and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it just builds up. And life doesn't like pressure. None of us like too much pressure. Mm-hmm. We just don't. Like, I know some top performers, and they always tell me, oh, I love being under so much pressure and stress and blah, blah. I'm like, no, you don't. Let's be real. Let's get honest. No, but just get honest, right? Yeah. Like, and I see a lot of people on podcasts, they talk about this, and yeah, there's times where we can thrive under pressure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you do not want to sustain pressure. Like, let's be honest. Like, that's not fun. You know, we do hit a point where we're like, oh my gosh, shoot me now, right? Like, you can implode, and that's the path that I saw myself on in my whole career. So I had to make a change. You know,
So I will ask you, what takeaway can you give the listeners? If you give one,
sure,
what would that be?
Yeah, I think the one is never stop chasing your passions, like really getting clear on what is it in life that you most want. And I know that is a massive question, but it's a question you have to keep asking yourself. Like, how do I live a great life? That can either be a question or it can be a statement, right? Like, how I live a great life, or how can I live a great life? Like we can frame it any way we want, but I think deep down people know what they want. They're just not too sure how to go after it. And so if that means you need to find a mentor, you need to find a coach, you need to find someone that's already done something that you want to do, then get around these people, learn from these people, because it's possible. It's just sometimes we need to see somebody else do it first. Right. And I think that has been one of the big catalysts is connecting with cool people that have been doing things that I want to get into and just learning from them. And whether that's reading their books, taking their courses, there's so many options, but figure out what is it that's going to make you happy. And then just go get the education piece figured out, because it's worth it, and you're worth it, and your family's worth it, and your future's worth it, because we got one life to live. So let's do something about it, make it great, right? Like, or accept your situation, own it, and be like, I got the best life ever, and really believe that. Like, don't think about all the things that you wish you had. Think about things that you do have, and the things that you have the opportunity to continue to do. But either way, own it. Like, just own it. Don't point the finger saying, oh man, my life would be so much better if I didn't have this. I'm like, give me a break,
Focus on the positive, nothing negative.
Well, and it just is a lot more uplifting and motivating. And really at the end of the day, it's again, that same sort of idea of the pressure. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves to perform and to succeed. And people's definition of success is often monetarily based, right? Where we reassessed our life and we said, you know what, money is not the driving factor. It's life experiences. It's family. Those are some of our pillars. And so we've reinvented our lifestyle to make those the primary focus. And then, of course, we have to look at finances. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, you got to make money. Well, we do. And but we're doing that in areas that we're really passionate about. So every day when we have to go to work, we're like, we love what we do.
You're not dragging your ass out the door.
No. And anyway, so that was a long-winded answer to your question. Just get after it. And it's freaking fantastic. I'm stoked because your podcast is just opening up people's eyes that there are other opportunities out there. There are other ways of looking at the world. And hey, we're never peg-holed in, right?
Yeah. Well, I want to say thank you for accepting the fact that, my invite podcast. That was step one.
Oh, we got to do it again though. Like, I feel like we're just scratching the surface here. We could go on all day.
There'll be part two.
Nice. We should get the ladies on too. I think that'd be fun.
We should get Chrissy on next time.
Yeah. Oh man. And she's great.
We can call that the shit show episode.
Well, and to be honest, like, we wouldn't be anywhere near where we are today without her. Like, she is like.
Hey, I saw her bring coffee earlier.
I know, right? And also working on the lights here. She's also already contacted me, like, I'm late for another call, and she's already like talked to the person saying he's on a podcast right now.
I will shut up.
No, it's totally cool. This has been awesome. I am so excited for you, Ashley. And for those that are listening, honestly, just my wife and I always joke, but we're a team of two. And when you reach out to me on social, it's actually me that replies. So do give me a little bit of grace. I do get a lot of inquiries and a lot of people messaging me, but I do reply. And so if you have any questions, like, just reach out, even if it's like, gosh, I am so eager to have conversations with people and just help them out wherever I can. Please don't feel that you can't reach out. So connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, whatever, my blog.
Everywhere.
Just I'm all over the map. So literally. And if you're in Bali, look us up.
Well, thank you for coming on, and we will have Christy on next time.
Awesome.
And for all of you listening, thanks for listening. Thanks for liking, downloading, and leaving a review, hint, hint, on this lovely podcast. And tune in for the next one. I think that's about it.
Awesome.
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Ashley.
Awesome. Hope everyone has a good day, good night, good morning, whatever day time it is for you guys. And we'll catch you later. Peace.